Hello everyone, this is Angelica, and today we're going to go into what are the best foods and meals for Vata types. So if you don't already know what your dosha imbalance is, go back to my previous videos on how to define which dosha is most out of balance for you. That is crucial for us to know and what to heal. And if you are having digestive issues, I also want to encourage you to look at my conscious eating habits video before you look into what foods you want. I know it seems so glamorous and exciting to know what is the best diet for me, but truly, Ayurveda says 90% of how you digest food, meaning the health of your mind and body and soul, is how you eat your food, your eating habits. It is premier. That will launch you so much farther on your healing journey if you look at those first. So pause this, come back to it, and we'll be here with all your glamorous recipes. Okay, so for those of you who know your balance is Vata, which also happens to be about 90% of the population, and if you've already instilled the conscious eating habits, let's talk about what to eat, because it is 10% of how we digest our food. It's super important. So, Vatas, you have an imbalance, and that means you have too much of the air and ether quality to you. This makes sense with the stress, the anxiety, the movement in the mind, the dryness in the body, dry skin, constipation, bloating, gas, etc. How do we bring this into balance? We need grounding, earth. We need nourishment, water, and we need warmth, fire. So we are going to bring in earth, water, and fire into your lifestyle. If you're working with an Ayurvedic practitioner, they wouldn't just be focusing on the diet. They'd be focusing on what lifestyle practices are going to bring these elements into your life. For today, we're going to talk specifically on the diet. So how can we get our diet to mirror earth, water, and fire element? Let's break it down. We want foods that are really grounding, having that earth quality. You know, when you have that meal and you just feel so relaxed and so calm. Most likely that meal had some sort of grains. Basmati rice is really good for Vatas. And grains that are really grounding, like brown rice, that are nourishing to the body, are going to be extremely beneficial for Vatas, as well as oats. What also is really grounding is root vegetables, carrots, sweet potatoes, regular golden Yukon potatoes are fabulous for Vatas. And vegetables that have that water element to it. So all of these vegetables are going to be noticed, they have that earth element to them. They're grounding, they're nurturing to the body. Now, for the water element, again, like I was saying, the water-filled vegetables, things like squashes, zucchini squash, yellow squash, spaghetti squash, they have a lot of this water element already to them, which is really nice. Also, spinach has a lot of the water element to it. And if you have a lot of dryness in your system, I would recommend cooking up any type of vegetables so that they are lightly sauteed so that your body can digest them more easily, especially if you're experiencing gas and bloating. It is extremely beneficial to lightly saute and cook your vegetables with spices so that it can help aid in digestion. And then for our final element, the fire element. So a good way to ignite the fire element, it's super simple, is just by bringing spices into your life. So beyond just the garlic and the salt and the pepper, how can you bring in spices that are really intelligent and actually work to diminish gas and bloating? Cardamom, great herb to bring into your diet. Cumin is amazing as well. And fennel. Fennel can be really healing to the digestive system as well. Those are some of my basics that I love to go into when you are first starting to broaden and expand your spice cabinet, which is also known as your medicine cabinet. How else you can bring the fire element is by having foods that are more warm. So soups, especially if you're watching this in real time, we're in winter. So soups that are really grounding, like sweet potato soup or any type of root vegetables in our soup that are creamy, are going to be really nourishing to the tissues and really help with digestion to get things moving. I also love both of these ideas together. So adding a really heating spice, something like ginger, is so good for Vatas, improves circulation, helps with digestion and ease of constipation. And adding that in with a warming food. So I love adding ginger to my soups. It's so yummy and immediately elevates any of your dishes. Okay, so we went into the proper elements to bring into our life: our water, earth, and fire. So, what does also this means in Ayurveda? In Ayurveda, we are also trying to balance our 5 senses. It's a sensory art form, really. And when we're healing digestion, we very much are working with the taste element. So that means in Ayurveda, there are 6 tastes, and there are certain tastes that we want to bring more of when we are balancing a certain dosha. So there are 3 tastes that are best for Vata doshas. And this doesn't mean that we're not including any of the other tastes. It means that we are just putting these first and trying to have more of these into our diets. So those 3 tastes are sweet, sour, and pungent. So let's go back to some of those foods that I was recommending and see how each of these tastes is exemplified through them. The sweet taste is going to be things that are really grounding and nourishing. So a lot of the earth and water elements, root vegetables like carrots and sweet potatoes. And this may be confusing, but even yellow gold potatoes are considered the sweet taste, not because they're sweet and we find them sweet like dates or something, but sweet because they are having the earth and water element. They're really grounding when we have potatoes, and they have that water element that's nourishing to the tissues. Dates, mangoes, bananas are all associated with the sweet taste as well, and a lot of grains are associated with the sweet taste. Now for sour. Sour is going to be lemon, mango has a bit of the sour taste as well as the sweet taste. Oranges that are really nourishing for the body. So think of the fruits that have that little bit of that fire element to them, but are also really grounding and nourishing to the tissues of the body. And finally, we have the pungent taste. And this is a lot of where I was talking about the spices come in. That has that little bit of a kick to it. So the cardamom and the cumin, they have a lot of that pungent taste to them. The ginger especially has that pungent taste to it, that it really just wakes up that whole dish that you're making, and it completely warms up the system, helps to also tonify the system at the same time. So of course, this is my disclaimer. I'm always going to say there is no right or wrong here of what foods to eat for your dosha and what foods not to eat. It is all through experimentation process, and that is our process at Soulful, is that we teach you to trust your intuition first and foremost, and that this Ayurvedic system is a beautiful template to nurture your intuition of what you already know to be true. So whatever really sparked your interest, like, oh, I want to add ginger to my meals, or, oh, I've been wanting to add spaghetti squash to my meals. Start with that. Start with where your intuition was already guiding you, and then just slowly start to incorporate one new food into your diet at a time and see how your body responds. That is the most important part, because none of this information is useful if you cannot validate it through your own experience. So please put in the comments what dishes and new spices and foods you're going to add into your life to pacify your Vata symptoms. I want to hear all about it. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about seasonal cleansing in Ayurveda, another one of my favorite topics.